Termites, look who came. Look who showed up. Isn't it fabulous? Doesn't that just scream to you, be your best self every day? Be the best termite you can be. Wear whatever you want. He didn't care. He wore this in Wisconsin, for God's sakes. Oh, I did get a candelabra from Amazon. It was enormous. Like the things were like this big. They were like 9. Yeah, I had to send it back. We'll work on another one. This is a little Bloody Mary I'm having, which is delicious with a lot of spice. And look at this, 360 vodka made especially for the St. Louis Blues. It's the now I don't know, should our hockey people be drinking a lot of vodka? Or should they, maybe the Russian ones, right? They can probably drink it like water. This 360 is proud to be, it's Missouri made, proud to be a sponsor. And that's all I have to report on that. It's delicious. So here's our little Liberaces, our paper dolls. Oh my God, I got this too. Look at this. On the internets, on the eBay, Liberace cooks. And it is wonderful recipes for very fattening, delicious. Oh, there's pound cake. I just turned to pound cake. Biscuit tortini. It's mostly fattening, Midwest, delicious stuff. Turkey, tetrazzini, lasagna. He's got one recipe that's just noodles with cottage cheese. Like that's, to me, I never even heard of that. That's like half of lasagna. Like where's the rest of it? Ooh, chicken green noodle casserole. It all looks delicious. See if you can find Liberace cooks. If you'd like to see, he really did cook too. We've learned that, but you can tell it's not just made up. There's some Polish recipes in here. I've never had Polish food. He wrote this with this lady in 1970. Wonder how many people bought it. I'll have to Google if it was a bestseller. Now let's go to our cutout, our paper dolls, and see what he's got to say for this episode. There's a dude that sometimes I golf with, an older guy, and he actually saw Liberace in concert when he was a kid. His mother took him. He was telling me all about it. The secret to catching the bartender's eye is not to depend solely on your natural good looks. Wear that. Oh my God, just the fact he's roaming around the Midwest like this, it's just wonderful. He's probably the bravest person I've ever read about. I would be a little scared, not scared, but it's not exactly San Francisco. Let's put it that way. I don't know if he's going to stand up. No. Oh no. Well, we'll just lay him here for now. Now, they were getting very successful last we were reading, him and his brother, who's doing all the work. And then he does the shows. Through the determined efforts of both brothers, the Liberace name was becoming more known in major cities. MCA's bookings were increasing. MCA's, I don't know what that must be his agency, whatever that was. MCA's bookings were increasing in number and importance. In 1948, Liberace appeared at the Statler Hotels in Boston, Detroit, Cleveland, and the Radisson in Minneapolis, the Park Plaza in St. Louis, fancy, the Fairmont in San Francisco, I love that place, as well as repeat engagements at the Last Frontier and Palmer House. He made another triumphant return to Milwaukee at the Pabst Theater, yay, Milwaukee, and also played concerts at Haddon Hall in Atlantic City, never heard of it, and the Chicago Theater, which I'll be there this fall. Well, what? Astonishing things were happening to Liberace, things he hadn't conceived in his grandiose dreams, like appearing before President Truman. What? Missouri's only president. He never knew how the invitation arose. Perhaps MCA, with its network of power, had arranged it. At any rate, Liberace was listed with Betty Hutton, Dick Haymes, Gertrude Nielsen, Billy DeWolf, and Jack Carson as entertainers for the Press Photographers Ball in Washington, D.C. in March of 1949. Liberace was met at the airport by Secret Service men who took him to his hotel for a briefing by by a member of the White House staff. The instruction about the performance was thorough. Unless it is a regular part of your program, do not play the Missouri Waltz, as the president has heard it too many times. Why? Because he's from Missouri. He much prefers the classics. Do not mention the name Truman or refer to Mrs. Truman or Margaret. When addressing the president, simply say, Mr. President. That's kind of strict, right? The president is a modest man. It would prefer that you directed your remarks and your performance to the entire audience. If you have any gifts for the president, do not present them personally, since all packages have to be first approved by the Secret Service. Liberace did give him a hand-painted tie. Oh, how sweet. As well as a miniature pianos and record albums for himself, Mrs. Truman, and Margaret. Limit your performance to 3 numbers unless otherwise instructed during the performance. Do not refer to Mr. Truman's Florida vacation or the controversial pictures of him in bathing trunks. What? Now I gotta Google that. Harry Truman's in trouble because he had on swimming trunks? I guess he was. I'll have to giggle that. Do not make references to Mr. Trump's piano playing. Mr. Truman. I just said Trump. Oh, wow. Do not make references to Mr. Truman's piano playing, since he wishes the public to forget the Lauren Bacall incident, in which she posed atop his piano, which he has for years regretted. He enjoys the piano but does not play it publicly. What the hell? Now I got to Google that too. Do not make any appointments with the president for any future occasion, as he does not have the final say-so regarding his social engagements. Holy shit. I wouldn't even remember all this. You can tell me, but I won't. 10 minutes from now, I won't remember half of what I just said. More or less behave that way. At the cocktail party preceding the dinner, do not partake of any refreshments in the presence of the president. Have your drinks before his arrival. What? You want me to get pre-hammered to meet him? What? Are these? Wow, I thought Harry Truman seemed like a normal person. This is kind of crazy. The president is here to have a good time. Please do not refer to controversial issues. Liberace noticed at the cocktail party that some of the other performers were extremely nervous, even though Harry Truman saw it in his homespun manner to put them at ease. I would think, he's almost so basic, almost like a farmer. As always, Liberace felt totally confident. Whether he was facing Las Vegas gamblers or the President of the United States, he always had faith in his ability to entertain. The audience also included General Dwight D. Eisenhower, Chief Justice Fred Vinson, cabinet officers, senators, congressmen, and movie executives. Jack Carson, as master of ceremonies, was so nervous he grasped the microphone stand and broke it. Holy shit. He drew a huge laugh, and it took 10 technicians 10 minutes to repair the damage. Liberace delivered his 3 numbers with total ease. He played Liszt's 14th Hungarian Rhapsody, whoa, a Gershwin melody, and then his Boogie Woogie, always a reliable showstopper. The climax of the number came when he finished a succession of chords and then stopped playing. The audience, as instructed, shouted, "Hey!" Liberace always divided the office, instructing the women to shout, "Hey!" first. Then he asked the men to give their version, and he often cited the male chorus of "Hey!" as proof that he appealed to both sexes. Following his usual routine, he asked President Truman to respond. After the president's "Hey!" Liberace cracked, "That must be the shortest presidential speech on record." But he wasn't supposed to do that. I think he wasn't supposed to call him out. More piano was demanded, and Liberace played 3 more numbers for a 25-minute appearance, longer than any of the performers. Wow. That'll tell you who did good that night, huh? Afterwards, Harry Truman complimented Liberace and invited him to play in the White House after the renovation was completed. "I want Bess and Margaret to hear you," the president said. "They'll be so sorry they weren't here tonight." Well, that worked out for everybody. Chapter 4, page 51, for all you page nerds that want to know what page we're on. Liberace discovers the magic of believing and gives his career a giant leap forward. Among the many listeners who were overwhelmed by the performance of Liberace at the press photographer was Nate Bloomberg, the silver-haired president of Universal International Pictures. He had risen to his position out of the hurly-burly the hurly-burly of the movie theaters, and he had a showman's appreciation of what captured an audience. When he returned to his New York office, he wired the studio. Contact Liberace immediately. Give him a screen test and cast him in a picture no matter how the test turns out. Maybe he doesn't want to be an actor. Sir, what's your name? Nate. Maybe he doesn't want to do it. Did anybody ask him? The casting office at Universal Internationally was in a quandary. Who or what was Liberace? Inquiries were made, but no actor of that name could be found. Finally, a junior member of the casting department remarked, I read about him in Harrison Carroll's column. He's playing at the Mocambo. Liberace was appearing nightly at Charlie Morrison's nightclub on the Sunset Strip, a favorite place of the movie crowd. A delegation of Universal International's executives attended a Liberace performance and all agreed he staged an entertaining show. But what are we going to do with them? One of them asked. Right. Well, you'd have to write a scene or there's a piano person and put him in it. The question was put out to studios. Michael Cracky had a suggestion. He was producing a potboiler called East of Java, designed to exploit the studio's new star, Shelley Winters. Remember the Poseidon Adventure? Wasn't she wonderful? Who was being promoted as a sex pot. Well, she was not a sex pot in the Poseidon Adventure. Perhaps Liberace could play a concert pianist on the bum in the South Seas, pounding piano in a waterfront bar for sultry Shelley Winters. The script was rewritten to accommodate him. Wow. East of Java was released as a South Sea sinner. Starred MacDonald Carey as a Pacific vagabond who ended up on the island of Orca, with a doctor friend played by Frank Lovejoy. Carey soon becomes entangled with the tempting cabaret singer, Shelley Winters, incurring an evil cafe operator, blah, 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 whatever. Liberace could not believe his luck in being cast in the movie. Well, I guess he wanted to. From his earliest years, the illusions of the screen in Milwaukee theaters had provided an escape. Remember when he used to run down to the movies by himself? Yep, sure do. He thrilled over the operettas of Jeanette MacDonald and Nelson Eddy, the musicals of Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, the operatic romances of Grace Moore. He approached his first acting role in a movie with great anticipation. Universal International, Liberace discovered, was no Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. After decades of being one of the three minors, along with Columbia and Republic, competing major studios, it was struggling for respectability, but there was still a threadbare appearance to the studio with its rickety sound stages and buildings that dated back to the founding of Uncle Carl something. I don't know how you say that. That's a lot of M's. Liberace was interviewed by a member of the publicity department who agreed to emphasize in the press that his name was pronounced Liberace. I overdid that, but that's how they wrote it. The basics were included in the studio biography: The Anointment by Paderewski, the debut with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra at 16, actually 20, the Bluthner piano. His pianist was quoted, Hollywood is definitely a city of long hairs. Filmland personalities request the classics 12-1. I was indeed surprised. I don't even know what that means. When Liberace was introduced to Shelley Winters, he was astonished and somewhat frightened by her forthright personality. Have you ever in your life read such a piece of shit as this script, she demanded. Liberace admitted he'd never read any script before. This bastardized version of Rain is so bad, even Yvonne DiCarlo wouldn't do it. Who was Yvonne DiCarlo? Mrs. Munster. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's what I think old people know her as something other than the mom and the Munsters, but that's all I remember. She poured out her vitriol against the studio bosses. She'd been nominated for an Academy Award for A Double Life, and now UI was trying to make her into, I don't know what that word is, some other lady, Tanda Leo, the tropic siren played in A Dark Face by Hedy Lamarr in White Cargo. She had dieted and sweated her ample figure down to 118 pounds, and the ordeal had contributed to her bad temper. Well, she's hungry. Come on. Give a lady a cheeseburger. She was further incensed because MacDonald Carey, on loan from Paramount, was receiving top billing. Liberace was required to accompany Winters as she strutted and sulked slunk around the piano singing such tunes as It Had to Be You and I'm the Loneliest Gal in Town. He asked for a chance to perform something from his own repertoire, and he was allowed a scene in which the island drifter imagined he was back at Carnegie Hall. Oh my God, how cheeseball is this movie? Now I gotta go watch it. I'm going to find it. I'll find it somewhere. East of Java is the name. He asked for the chance to perform. He played an abbreviated version of the Liszt, and despite the South Seas locale, the director allowed Liberace to place a candelabra on the piano. Wonderful. This has to be so bad. I can't wait. God knows I have the time. The studio boss, William Getz, feared that Liszt was too highbrow for a movie like South Sea Sinner. It is weird. It all sounds very campy, corny. But the number played well at the preview, and it remained until the final version. Although the studio had no illusions about the quality of the film, it seemed exploitable on the basis of Shelley Winters' growing popularity. The publicity department plotted a 20-city tour for the star through the American heartland, where the unsophisticated natives, this lady, the unsophisticated natives, Jesus. I mean, we're not running around like with spears and shit. It's just crazy. I lost my place. Where the unsophisticated natives might prove more receptive to a movie like South Sea Sinner. Since Shelley's musical talent was limited, UI decided to send along competent backing for her appearances at the theater openings. The Bobby True Trio, a popular combo at the Sunset Strip clubs, and Liberace were enlisted. George Liberace got to go too. He accompanied the tour, which proceeded by train through the Midwest. We'll stop there. Unsophisticated natives. That's what I'm going to start calling all of my siblings. I'm going to only address them as UNs, unsophisticated natives. I suppose we are, darling, compared to, say, New York City or London or San Francisco. Unsophisticated natives. I'll sit with that. All right, termites. I am going to make another t-shirt. I haven't done it yet. I was hanging out with the parents, and, you know, I may have gone over to Alabama for a little bit for some warm weather. I may have driven there and then driven back. Anyway, here we are. I know some of you termites have gotten vaccinated. I'm very happy to hear that. The rest of you termites, stay put. One of my friends in LA just got COVID. It's still out there. So did Trisha Yearwood. I don't know Trisha Yearwood, but she's famous, and I read that. And I like her cooking show. I don't even cook, but everything she makes looks so fatteningly delicious. You just go, wow, man. If I could eat that every day, I would. All right. You guys cozy? Winter's almost over. That's exciting. Pull your sheets up. You're good termites. You're worthy termites. Many of you are unsophisticated native termites, like myself. The rest of you, good termites. You ready? Pull up your sheet. Close your eyes. Night-night, termites.